And welcome into the program. This is Protect and Grow Chicagoland Retirement with Chicagoland's certified financial planning professional, Tim Stearns, CFP, here providing the proactive information, ladies and gentlemen, for your money, your savings, your investments, and your retirement planning. Tim, always a pleasure to have you here on the program, giving that proactive advice that so many Chicagoland area savers and investors need.
Peter, it's good to be here. We got a good list for people today. It's a list that we try to do yearly because I think people forget how important it is. And without further ado, let's dive into it, Peter.
The 9 critical risks to plan for. And by the way, each of these 9 you did address in your book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, which I do want to go ahead and promote here on the program. As we do each week since you wrote the book, Tim, we've got 10 copies available for listeners to the program today.
Yeah, Peter, what I'd like to do is get anyone who has over $500,000 in investable assets, give us a call and we'll get the book into your hands. Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. I think a lot of baby boomers out there, and even people my age, I'm 52, are concerned about how to get through this retirement. We're living longer and longer. Most of us don't have pensions. How do you make that dollar stretch? That's the biggest fear of anyone, is running out of money. And the book covers all the different ways that you can defend against that.
Well, in addition to the book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, ladies and gentlemen, you call this week, and you can also receive the report of the 9 critical risks to plan for. It is a concise list of 9 of the top things that you need to keep in mind that your plan specifically needs to address as you enter into retirement in order to maintain your way through retirement with confidence. So if you'd like to take advantage of that offer, pick up the phone, give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256, or you can always visit online, tjstearns.com. And that's Stearns like Earns, E-A-R-N-S. tjstearns.com is the website. Of course, TJ Stearns, located conveniently in Arlington Heights, and available for all proactive planners and savers across and throughout the Chicagoland area. Also, Tim, you hold regular retirement classes at universities throughout the area. So yet another opportunity resource for planners and savers to learn more and make sure that they are doing the best thing for their financial future.
Right. Even if people can't make it in person, we're happy to do Zooms. We have all the availability of that, and modern technology has made it really easy for people to get the knowledge that they need.
Indeed. Yeah. Meeting through the ease and convenience of those virtual meetings, or of course, face-to-face, if you would prefer that. And a lot of people like that as well, still in this day and age, Tim. Yeah. So again, give a call, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to set up a time for that complimentary review or strategy session, or even if you'd like to start by receiving a copy of that book, The Modern Retirement Riddle, pick up the phone and give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. So Tim, this list, the 9 critical risks to plan for. Number 1 is actually something I don't think everyone has heard of. And there are several others on here where I do think that most everybody with any investments or any money at all has probably heard of, but sequence risk. Can you tell us what sequence risk is and why it's at the top of your list?
It's at the top of my list because it could affect people the most in their retirement. And people don't know what it is. It's like, top of the mind for people is all the different risks, like market risk and that type of thing. But this risk, most people in our classes, I'd say 9 out of 10 people have no idea what it is. And let me dive into that. So basically, sequence of returns risk is simply, if you retire into a bull market, chances are your retirement should go well. If you retire into a market, say like the 2000, 2001, 2002 market, you could have problems. We have a really good handout for that as well, just showing 2 life examples of Bill and Jill, who are brother and sister, and then retire 3 years apart, and what happens to one of them because they retired in a bear market. And with that, that explains it. Also, my chapter in the book talks all about it as well.
No problem, right, Tim? I'll just retire in a year where I know that the several years following are going to be good years in the market. That's always very predictable, right?
No one has the tea leaves nor the crystal ball for that. So what you want to do is make sure that that risk is out there. And by having a retirement plan, you know, if that risk happens to you, you're guarding against it and defending it. You need to put your plan on guardrails, and that's one of them that will help that.
Yeah, Tim, if maybe the first year or the first few years, anytime into the first little period of retirement, if there is a major market downturn, how much does it affect our confidence? How much does it affect our trajectory for moving forward into and throughout the subsequent years of retirement? That's really what the sequence risk is all about, right?
I think it's about that. And I think to your point of what you just said, what about the happiness factor? You know, people that have that happen to you, you're on pins and needles, wondering if you can make it through your 25-year, 30-year retirement. And that stuff is very unnerving to certain people. And so what with that, you need to make sure that people are watching for that by having the plan. And that's part of the issue right there.
Well, Tim, I know it's part of your service that you put that plan together. You call it the Protect and Grow plan.
Yep.
Two pretty important sides of our financial well-being, right? The protection and the
Right.
growth. We need both. But the Protect and Grow plan, that is a written plan of somebody's current situation, a sort of a snapshot, and then mapping out the strategies, the opportunities, as well as the risks that we might face into the future so that they have that in writing and a plan to refer back to make sure that they're executing and doing the right things to optimize their financial future.
Well, on any journey, you want to know where you're at, right? And you want to make sure that you've done the right things. So you're always checking yourself. And that's one of the things that we do. We don't make a plan and then disappear. We're going to march on with them and make sure that, you know, if changes need to be made or adjustments, we're there for it.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, the 9 critical risks to plan for. It is a report that is available to you. If you would like that report, if you'd like to review these 9 risks, pick up the phone and give Tim Stearns, CFP, and TJ Stearns Inc. a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. One line in the description of this sequence risk, though, Tim, really caught my eye. Timing matters. Average rates of return don't. I think that's in opposition to what a lot of us sort of feel and think about the market.
Well, a lot of people think the average return is kind of the bailiwick that you can put your whole foundation of a retirement on. And, you know, people are, you know, there's so many examples of where the average return is not really what you think it is. It actually turns out to be a loss in one of the workshops that we show a couple slides on that. So that being said, you want to make sure that you have it mapped out how you're going to get to there.
Number 2 on the list, Tim, legislative risk laws pertaining to retirement accounts, Social Security, Medicare, taxation. They can and quite likely will be changing into the future.
Well, that's for sure, because you have the tax bill that's going to expire at the end of 2025. That's one of them. Most of our listeners are cognizant of that. But I find this very interesting. Many of the people who attend our classes are very well heeled in this area of financial education. Doesn't take a college degree to do this, but they don't know about what the Secure Act has done to retirement. So there's legislative risk out there that you have no control over. And before you get mad at either party, it was a bipartisan bill that passed twice, Secure Act 1 and 2. And that has totally changed the landscape of leaving a legacy to your family and how that's going to look, and what you're going to be paying in taxes and that type of thing as well.
The things that they tend to agree on, Tim, it seems like they sweep under the rug. They don't talk about it much, and they do them at the last minute. Although this is one of the most sweeping reforms and set of laws impacting specifically retirement and retirement accounts that we've seen in the last generation.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, they basically told us when they passed the first Secure Act that IRA, that individual retirement account, is for you, maybe your spouse, and that's it. After that, if something happens to you and you leave it to a non-spouse, your money has to be drained in those accounts within 10 years, including Roths. Most people think it just affects the IRAs. Well, there goes that idea that you could extrapolate the wealth 2 generations, down the road. And so I think that people are not aware of this, and it's big news.
All right. Well, we've got 9 of these. We are through 2. So moving on, number 3 on your list of the 9 critical risks to plan for, withdrawal rate risk. Tim, Why is the withdrawal rate a risk for us financially?
Well, it's simple. The number one fear of baby boomers is running out of money. So how do you know how much money to take out? What can you assume is a safe withdrawal rate? We start with 4% in the late 90s. Now we know that that fails 67% of the time. So what can I take from my portfolio and make sure that I don't run out of money? And then let's add on the fact that maybe I have a spouse and I want to sure that he or she can live on with money as well. These are things that we talk to people all the time about, making sure that they understand it.
Tim, do you ever have the opposite side of that where somebody is so worried about running out of money? They're so conservative and so cautious that they end up maybe not doing all the things that they could be doing with their money and with their life into and throughout their retirement years?
That's the Grandma Stearns example that I give in class.
Oh, a firsthand example.
Yes. So in 1993, my grandmother passed away, and my dad called me and said, "Hey, she's going to give you some money, and your siblings, the grandkids, are all going to get some money." And I thought she was the poorest lady in the world. She never lived her retirement,
Mm.
and she gave me money to for what, right? I would have rather her enjoy her retirement. I know my grandfather would agree with that comment.
And that's why the specific written retirement plan, Tim, that protect and grow
Yeah.
plan, it's so important. So you have some guidelines to know, hey, we can enjoy life along the way, but we're not also simultaneously risking overspending and outliving those assets. We've got those plans in place. We've got the guidelines to stay within. And ladies and gentlemen, most people don't have that. We've got the tools, we've got the investments, but we don't have that plan for withdrawals and income in writing. And that's why you need that protect and grow plan. So pick up the phone and give Tim Stearns CFP a call, 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. Tim, next one's the big one. I think this is like the elephant in the room, the 900-pound gorilla, whatever you want to call it, but healthcare costs and long-term care, certainly a critical risk that we need to plan for.
Our makeup of our workshops is all kinds of people, and I ask two questions that I always get the same results from. Number one, do you think taxes are going to go up in the future? I get a thumbs up from everyone in the room. The next one is, do you think healthcare is going to see exorbitant increases in the future and long-term care? And I get a thumbs up from every person in that room. That being said, yes, it's scary. I mean, there is no way to meter that out to figure out what's going to go there. I do know this. 7 out of 10 Americans over the age of 60 will need some form of long-term care, and 9 out of 10 of them have not even looked into it, and done anything about it. And that's scary to me.
And Tim, I mean, depending on what level of care you need, where you receive that care, we're talking about $5, $10, $15,000 a month or
Yep.
more potentially in present day dollars. And if we've got a spouse, if we place that burden on our spouse, if that is us that falls ill or needs that assistance, that's in addition to some of the ongoing regular living expenses that they would already have.
Right. And not only that, but think about the physical wear and tear, if you will. I've seen people who have to take care of their spouse, and you figure that they're next to go very soon. So these are things that we can get ahead of. There's so many new great products out there that can address this situation for people. Long-term care standalones are not a thing really anymore. There's some great hybrid products out there that I don't think everyone knows about.
Well, Tim, I mean, that probably should be explored a little bit more then, right? Is if we can take steps to address or protect against some of these critical risks, that we should at least be aware of what those options are. And that's part of the process there in your office as well.
Right. We make sure that we leave no stone unturned. First you have to figure out how much retirement income you need. Then we figure out, how to pass off some of that risk transference to an insurance company for things like long-term care.
Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like that complimentary review, that retirement planning strategy session, pick up the phone, give Tim Stearns, CFP, and TJ Stearns a call. 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. If you'd like this list of the 9 critical risks to plan for, that is a resource that they are able to provide you, no cost, no obligation. But the true value of the program, the information that we share here, is the ability to apply it with an experienced, qualified professional, a certified financial planning professional, Tim Stearns, CFP, at no cost, no obligation. So again, just give a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256. And Tim, the reason I thought of, as we were talking healthcare costs, the healthy spouse, is that is the next one on the list. What about spousal income? And there are several sources of income, Tim, that might go away for a surviving spouse.
Well, let's talk about the one that's first and foremost is social security. When you have someone who passes away, the higher of the two stays, but the lower of the two goes away. And in some cases that can be, a good chunk of change that leaves their monthly incomes. And that's just bothersome, for people. And you want to make sure that there's some way, and that's why there's some great annuities out there that will do a joint income for people, that regardless of who's still around, it's still paying out a full payment. I think a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people still think, if I take one payment from this annuity, it goes away and I'm done. That's not the case. It doesn't work like that.
You can set things up for joint lifetime income,
joint lifetime, right?
Or to replace streams of income that might disappear later on
Correct.
down the road, right? You can
Right.
earmark specific dollars to take care of that, or at least address that issue, right? Next on the list, Tim, market volatility. This is one of those on this list that I think everybody's probably aware of, but how much it can impact us in retirement. Certainly, we don't maybe understand until we go through it.
Well, I think 2022 isn't that far back that we realized that most portfolios that we've seen that come in here from other advisors or do-it-yourselfers, what have you, they lost over 20%. And, luckily they've made most of it back, but for 3 years, they really made no money in their portfolios. And you can't have that when you're in retirement. The good news is a lot of our clients, our new clients that we got, they made the transfer over to us, and we've done much better than that. But the difference there is that we're going to be more calculated and strategic when we're investing versus these buy and hold portfolios I keep seeing come in here. I don't understand why people are still doing it that way.
And Tim, we've seen some volatility over the past 10 years, over the past 20 years. And yet I still ask myself, if I truly believe if the next 10 or 20 years could be as good as the last 10 or 20 years have been, right? I mean, yes, we've seen hiccups. Yes, we've seen some significant downturns in market volatility, the dot-com bubble, the Great Recession, but does the time ahead of us look like it might be as prosperous and generous as the time that we've recently lived through here? And I really worry about market volatility into the future. Do you have clients kind of echoing those concerns?
Yes, I have a lot of our clients are very happy with, just getting a return and not losing their tail. They retain the gain, I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, who cares if you were up 100% and the next year you lose 200%, right? I've seen so many different portfolios that the hot flavor of the day, the cryptos, the dot-coms, I've been through it all, and we just don't do that. We try to hit singles and move the bases along. That's what we're trying to do, not hit home runs and grand slams with crazy far-fetched ideas.
And what goes up very quickly can come down very quickly. Amen. Too. Yeah, absolutely. Well, market volatility is something that we've all likely experienced in some form or fashion, but again, critical risk to address for retirement, ladies and gentlemen, and understand how much market risk exposure you have and how volatility could affect your portfolio. Tim, we are moving through, and next on the list, taxation. You've already talked about this, but mention for us again, taxes are already slated to go up into the near future. Explain for us.
No problem. Under the current tax bill that Trump put through, you're looking at the fact that it expires and it will go away on December 31st, 2025, unless something is done about it. So starting in 26, you will have the income tax rates that you had that were previous to that. And we always talk about this as a great example. The 12% will go to 15. That doesn't sound like a lot. It sounds like only 3%, but that's a 25% increase. And that's gives me less take home, and then what do we do? Well, maybe we're looking at some Roth conversions right now, but we know for a fact taxes will go up if nothing's done about it. December 31st, 2025.
And you hinted at this with this one in particular, Tim. Roth conversions
Yep.
may be a potential strategy and solution to addressing this critical risk. And I think that's the thing about all of these is that there are strategies to address each and every one of them. And I think that's why this list is so important, because if we have not talked about these, if we have not discussed them, if we have not identified which strategies we want to utilize, we are leaving ourselves subjected to them.
Exactly. I mean, you're going to default to the government's plan, whoever wants to do that, right? We need to be smarter. So basically, we telling people get ahead of it, mitigate taxes, stop preparing taxes and get ahead of it, mitigate.
Rounding home here on our list of the 9 critical risks, it is number 8. Tim, this one is certainly something we've seen here more recently and heard an awful lot about, despite its nickname as being the silent thief. Inflation is going to be a critical risk to address throughout retirement. In fact, specifically in retirement, Tim, aren't we maybe more exposed to the harmful nature of inflation?
When I'm in retirement, I'm not getting my pay raises, right, to hopefully keep up with inflation. So, and you're looking at the fact that my dollars are kind of stagnating unless I make something in the market. So yes, inflation is going to affect the person who's retired way more so than anyone who's still working. So they need to be cognizant of that. So when we do our protect and grow plan, we make sure that that's put into the equation so that we know what a dollar today is not going to be worth the same in 10 years. And we show people that in our workshops as well.
And Tim, even with the COLA, the cost of living adjustment on Social Security, even if it truly kept up with what inflation actually is, oftentimes Social Security is not 100% of people's income. So if our Social Security is $2,500 a month, but our expenses are $5,000 a month, and then we have 3% inflation, both on our expenses and the cost of living adjustment on our Social Security, that's still only actually accounted for half of the impact of inflation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And that's why people need to be cognizant of inflation when you're going into retirement. Again, it will affect a retiree more so than someone who's working. So if you're out there in Chicagoland, you're worried about that, give us a call and we'll make sure that we have a plan that builds in inflation.
And then the reality of it, Tim, is that inflation, it's not going to just impact us one year. It's going to impact us this year,
Forever.
next year, and for all of the years into the future. Same with taxation, same with market volatility, same with withdrawal rate and the potential for legislative change, same with sequence risk. And that's why number 9 on the list of your 9 critical risks to plan for is longevity, the risk multiplier, you call it.
Right. People are living longer and longer. And as we stated at the start of the program, most of us don't have pensions anymore. The only thing we have that's a constant is Social Security. So we need to make sure that we're addressing the longevity risk, which according to Tom Hegna, a best-selling author on retirement, who we've had on our show quite a few times, he says that's the number 1 risk in retirement. I couldn't agree more.
Only by having a solid plan that addresses all other risks and the extended longevity can we truly experience lasting retirement, confidence, and quality of life. Tim, we've got to have a specific plan that addresses longevity.
Right. You would never build a house without a blueprint. What is your blueprint for retirement? You cannot wing it. You can't hope. You can't, pray for the best outcome. You need to make sure that you're mitigating your risks and addressing it, and then making sure that you've got a solution for it.
And Tim, you go into much more detail on these 9 critical risks and the potential strategies and solutions in your retirement classes held throughout the area, correct?
Oh, we dive deep and make sure that people understand what could happen to their retirement if they're not careful. And I think that a lot of people, you don't know what you don't know.
And you also go in more depth in your book, Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle. Still a few copies of that left available. And this report, this list of the 9 critical risks to plan for, you're throwing that in along with the book this week.
Yes, happy to do it. To the first 10 callers, we've got a couple books left. We'll make sure we get it out into their hands.
Well, if you would like to take advantage of that, ladies and gentlemen, get your free copy of Solving the Modern Retirement Riddle, get a copy of this list of the 9 critical risks to address. Or if you'd like to attend one of the upcoming retirement classes, pick up the phone and give a call, find that schedule, or make that request by calling 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256. And Tim, maybe the most important and valuable component, the true opportunity of the program, the opportunity to get a customized individual plan put together, that Protect and Grow plan. If you would, just give us a brief synopsis. What does that process look like?
It looks like this. You come and meet with us. We address your concerns, go over it with a fine-tooth comb, and then come back to you with a plan that is, comprehensive and make sure that we're understanding each other. And then year by year, after we've implemented it, we make sure that we're staying on course and that there hasn't been any, huge changes or anything like that.
Well, it is always a pleasure having you here on the program every time we get the opportunity to speak with you, Tim. And I know that so many proactive planning savers and investors throughout the Chicagoland area have taken advantage of that opportunity, but so many more need to. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions or concerns, if you'd like to feel more confident about your money and your retirement outlook, pick up the phone and give Tim Stearns, CFP, a call, 800-640-2256. That's 800-640-2256, 800-640-2256, or visit online, tjstearns.com, tjstearns.com. Tim, once again, always a pleasure.
Thanks, Peter.
Tune into Chicagoland certified financial planner Tim Stearns' full radio program and visit tjstearns.com for many valuable resources, including other great episodes of Chicagoland Retirement. Be sure to subscribe.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC. The information presented on this program is provided for informational purposes only without warranty of accuracy, completeness, or suitability for particular purpose. This program is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, legal, or tax advice. This information is general in nature, not specific enough to be construed as advice. You should not make any decision based on the information presented on this program without independent consultation with an appropriately licensed professional or competent advisor. Investment in securities or the market involves a potential risk for loss of principal. Trading, therefore, may not be suitable for all listeners. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Withdrawals of growth from annuities may be taxable as ordinary income in the year it is taken. Individuals should review contracts for specific details of the product's features and costs.